friends, I am in day quarantine. I don't even know anymore. I barely even know who I am. Sorry I have not been as consistent about posting as I had originally promised. 2020 has been a lot, and I've noticed this trend on YouTube of a bunch of people posting, you know, like tips on productivity and how to work from home and stuff like that, but I'm probably the last person who should be giving advice on something like that because I'm very scatterbrained and still working on like a systems and processes that work for me. So I wanted to share with you guys something that I am very good at, which is watching TV. To be honest, it's been a minute since I started a new TV show because I'm the type of person who will like rewatch the same TV shows over and over again until I can recite all of the lines and know all of the plot lines and nothing comes to me as a surprise anymore. But now that I'm in quarantine and like longing for that human connection, I think I am now ready to welcome new characters into my life and get way too emotionally attached to them. So here are some of my favorite TV shows which I feel like are super underrated and like not talked about that I'm going to try to convince you to watch. Okay, first up, Fleabag. I discovered the show 2 days ago and I literally watched the entire thing in one sitting, and then yesterday I went back and rewatched season 2. And for those of you who have watched it, you probably know why. It has to do with the priest. And for those of you who haven't seen it, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I guarantee you that this show is phenomenal. It's a BBC show that is on Amazon Prime. It is quick-witted, it is dry humor, it's sarcastic, it's funny, it's all of the things that I wish that I could write if I were to ever write a TV show. It's about a woman who's living in London and she's like trying to navigate through her love life, family life, career, all while dealing with this like great tragedy that happened in her life. And she has the tendency to like break that fourth wall and like talk directly at the camera. And so, you know, in the middle of a scene, she'll like look at the camera and kind of tell you her thoughts of like what's going on. And the wonderful thing about this character is that she like has no filter. She just openly speaks her mind, and you get to hear like the behind the scenes of like what her thoughts are through that process. I absolutely love the series. I cannot sing enough high praises, and I highly recommend you watch it if you're into that kind of dark humor, quick wit type of TV show. Next up, it is not a new TV show, but it is actually like one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite TV show, which is 30 Rock. I found out about it in college and I just became obsessed. It is created by the one and only Tina Fey, and it stars incredible people like Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin, Tracy Morgan, Jane Krakowski, Jack McBrayer, and it is kind of like a parody of like all the years that Tina Fey worked on SNL, but it's like way more exaggerated with like crazier characters. I will admit that this kind of takes a minute to get into because the plots are kind of out there, but I feel like I've seen that show so many times. It's like one of my shows that I go back and just rewatch and rewatch and rewatch because every time I watch it, there's a new joke that I glazed over the first time or wasn't paying attention to. It's just a very fun, wacky, quirky show with really ridiculous characters that I got way too emotionally invested in. And it was that and Friends were probably like the two shows that I feel like made me really want to move to New York. I may or may not be able to admit the fact that watching 30 Rock made me want to be an NBC page so badly, and I applied to that program and got rejected many times. When I lived in New York, I used to like walk through the 30 Rock Plaza because I actually worked in the building across the street, but I purposely would like go through the 30 Rock Plaza pretty much every single morning and pretend like I was, you know, Liz Lemon walking in to go to work. Really like lame thing about me, but I absolutely love this show, and the type of people who like this kind of humor are the type of people that I get along with best. Like really ridiculous, stupid, but like smart humor. Yeah, stupid, smart humor is probably the best way that I can put it. And 30 Rock is available on Hulu. And another show that I was really obsessed with is Youre the Worst. Phenomenal title for a TV show, by the way. Youre the Worst is basically a kind of dysfunctional like love story, I guess, about this couple who are like two kind of awful people who end up together, and their shenanigans that they get into like Sunday Funday and just like the terrible people around them. It sounds sounds really awful the way I'm describing it, because like of all the shows that I watch, these are probably the people that I would want to spend the least amount of time with. But I feel like the way that they address like mental health or just talk about like the reality of situations is really funny. And even though the characters are pretty awful people, like I still got really attached to them. I haven't seen the later seasons, but I've seen the first like 3 seasons like 2-3 times. I would say that the first 2 seasons are some of my favorite seasons of like television because of how the characters like develop, and I feel like there's something like very relatable about each and every single one of them. And Youre the Worst is also available on Hulu. So next up is Modern Love on Amazon Prime. The thing I like about this show is that every episode is kind of like a standalone episode, and it is a series of love stories based off of the New York Times Modern Love articles. I feel like this is like a really good show to watch if you kind of want a stopping point. Like for me, Fleabag and Youre the Worst, like I'm always like, oh no, I need to find out what happens next, versus Modern Love, like each episode it kind of stands on its own. And I kind of like that after every episode it makes me like sit and think, and it's gotten me in a very like hopeless romantic kind of mood. But the first 3 episodes were really good. Like I felt like they were very non-conventional love stories, which I really appreciated and liked. It really showed characters and their struggles, and the acting is just phenomenal. The second episode stars Dev Patel, and he is like this, you know, hotshot founder of this like tech app, and it talks about his like love history and stuff like that. The third episode stars Anne Hathaway, and she's this hopeless romantic who's trying to find love but also dealing with like a lot of mental health issues, and it kind of shows you this seemingly like very upbeat kind of person, but all of the demons that she really deals with on the inside. I am really excited to continue watching because the next episode is actually one with my beloved Tina Fey. But yeah, it's a really fun series. They're short and easy to watch, and there are stories about love, and who doesn't love watching things about love? So this next show is a cartoon. It's Bob's Burgers, and I feel like it's so hard to convince people to watch cartoons because they're all like, oh, it's for kids and stuff like that. This show was definitely not written for children. Let me just put that out there. It is about this man named Bob who has a burger restaurant, shocking, and his family that helps him run it. His wife is basically his like co-manager, owner of the store, and then he has 3 children who are all, you know, really weird and quirky in their own ways. Like the oldest, Tina, is like going through puberty and just like loves boys. And then there's Gene, the middle child, who's strange, and he has like the best one-liners on the show. Like if you really pay attention to his jokes, they're so well written. And then there's Louise, who is like the crazy dominant one. She's the youngest, but she like loves to be the leader of the pack and like really knows how to manipulate her siblings. And it's just about their life and the crazy things that they get into. And if you haven't noticed, I really like comedies, and I really like those like quick-witted comedies where it's like very dry, subtle humor. So Bob's Burgers, highly recommend it. It's a cartoon, but it's definitely worth your while. Okay, so now we're getting into the reality TV portion of it. So if you guys are not into reality TV, I apologize, but I love reality TV, and honestly, it was like kind of embarrassing like how much easier it was to come up with the reality TV section versus like the other TV shows. I'll just run through these really quick because I don't think that you need a lot of plot in order to understand these. We'll start with like least trashy to like most trashy. First up is Terrace House. I really love Terrace House, specifically the season Boys and Girls in the City where they're like in Tokyo. I think it's so fun to like watch Japanese culture and see what they're like, because I feel like I'm really used to watching like American reality TV where it's just trash. It's pure trash, and I feel like it can get really raunchy, and I feel like producers like to pull out that like raunch to kind of spice things up a little bit, versus I feel like Japanese TV is a lot more like people are really polite and they're really nice and a little more passive aggressive, but that doesn't mean that drama doesn't ensue. So that was actually my first season of Terrace House that I've ever watched, and currently I'm watching the season that I think that's airing right now that's also in Tokyo, because I heard that the other seasons weren't as good. But I still think that that first season is probably my favorite. The one now is okay. Like, I think it's good, but I'm not like, I need to find out what is happening next in comparison to the way that I was about Boys and Girls in the City. Next up is a good classic, The Bachelor. This season with Peter Weber, like, I will say the season itself was a little slow, and I can definitely say that I did not like any of the girls, which may not sound very convincing to you, but I feel like the season of like blah led up to the most amazing Oscar-worthy finale I've ever seen in all my years of watching The Bachelor. I've been watching The Bachelor since like 2014 as a way to like bond with my other female classmates when I was doing my master's program, and then I just got sucked in, and here we are 2020, 6 years later, and I've seen most every season. I've skipped a few because like I didn't like the girl or didn't like the guy, but I pretty much watched all of them, and I follow the general plot line of like, you know, Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, and all of those things. But yeah, Peter Weber, terrible Bachelor, but phenomenal ending to a bleh season. So if you have time to kill or you want something on in the background, which is like how I usually watch reality TV show, I think that this season is worth giving a try. Moving on, so if you haven't noticed, I love all things British, and I freaking loved Love Island. And this is like always like something that I can never figure out. Like, is British reality TV trashier than American TV? Because like these people are basically just like spending the entire show in like bikinis, and they're shirtless and working out the entire time, and it gets like a little raunchy. But I've seen some other British TV shows that get really, really raunchy, and it's a lot. But Love Island is kind of like Real World, where they like stick a bunch of people into a house, but they're supposed to couple up, and then there's like challenges and stuff like that, and voting people off. It's like 30 some episodes, but it's fun and it's addicting, and you know, they'll interchange people who get voted out, they'll bring new people in, and people couple up and recouple up, and it's just good bad TV, you know? One of my favorite things about the show is like listening to all the different accents. There's this Scottish guy. I thought I was the only one who couldn't understand him, but apparently a lot of his other castmates also can't understand him. So it's really funny to me when they put like subtitles underneath, and there's this like Irish girl, and she says like those things. I don't know. I think it's really cute. So yeah, there's like some really unexpected twists and turns in regards to like relationships, and you know, I love me some romantic reality TV. And last but not least, speaking of romantic reality TV, 90 Day Fiancé. What can I say about this show? It is trash TV at its finest. 90 Day Fiancé is about these Americans who fall in love with a foreigner. Usually they meet like on vacation or online, and they have applied for this K1 visa, which is the fiancé visa, which means that once their foreign partner lands in the US, they have 90 days to get married, and they have to adjust and adapt and, you know, figure out how they're going to make this marriage work. And there's a ton of spin-off series, which I have also watched, like before the 90 days, after the 90 days. I particularly love the ones where like the Americans go abroad, because I feel like every time the foreigners come here, they're like, well, you're in America now and this is how you have to do it, and that like annoys the hell out of me. But when you put the American in the foreign country like Nigeria or Ukraine or the Philippines, and they're like, well, this isn't how we did it in America, it's hilarious, because it's like, oh my god, please check your privilege. You can pick any season, honestly, and it's a great show, and I love it, and I hate that I love it, but it's so good. And you can definitely tell that some people are being catfished. There are some people, the fiance from the other country is definitely just trying to come to America and like get a green card, which I then feel really bad for the American in that couple, but I also feel like they kind of did it to themselves. And so it's just very, very entertaining TV to watch, and it's the last on my like list of things to watch. But if you have time and you want to invest in some bad TV, like, I highly recommend it. So that about wraps it up for me today. I hope that you guys enjoy these recommendations and take a chance on them. They're honestly really, really good. And if they're not, then I did not recommend them to you. So if you have seen any of them, please feel free to like leave comments down below. I'd love to talk to you guys about this, or even like DM me. Like I've definitely DM'd some of you guys about The Bachelor and a bunch of other shows that I've watched in the past. I always think that that's really fun. Or leave me some recommendations down below. I hope you guys are all safe and well and staying home during this period of time. I know it's hectic and crazy and, you know, unnerving to be at home for so many days, but social distancing is how we're going to get through this together. So let's do the socially responsible thing and stay at home. Watch some of these TV shows, they're great. So I'll see you guys next time. Happy quarantine. Bye. Which is watching TV. Which is watching TV. Which is watching TV.